G'day everyone, Clok-Roo reporting. What, you didn't think I wouldn't notice this, did ya? Not a chance! When it comes to Crash Bandicoot, I'm always on the ball. So it has been announced, officially this time around, the Crash Bandicoot Sane Trilogy is coming. Well, what a timely early Christmas present then. If you celebrate Christmas, that is. Now, before we get onto that, quick retrospect here. Let's get back to my original video way back at the start of the year about what I think should happen if Crash Bandicoot should ever return. If I remember correctly, and I don't, I asked for a complete reimagining of the original game by Vicarious Visions. And even if I didn't say that, that's pretty much what I wanted anyway. So what do we get now? A complete remastering of the original trilogy of games by Vicarious Visions. I believe I may have also noted how I felt that remaking stroke remastering the original trilogy in HD wasn't that smart a move also. I don't remember why I said that, but I believe it may have had something to do with how Crash Bandicoot 2 Cortex Strikes Back and Crash Bandicoot 3 Warped don't really need remastering. However, it would seem that I have been proven wrong by a country mile. Well, at least as far as the original game goes, because A, we haven't seen anything of Crash 2 and 3, and B, oh my god, this game is absolutely gorgeous! Watching that reveal trailer and some of the gameplay that was shown, I don't think there was a single thing in those videos that I overly disliked or found pretty I was blown away the whole time, and to me, that is hard to come by. I'm rarely knocked out of the ballpark. I don't think I've been that blown away by anything before. It felt like I was you know what it felt like? It felt like I had been hit by a truck and sent flying for a mile, in the good way. Though come to think of it, getting hit by a truck is not a good thing. I was completely taken away by absolutely everything in terms of presentation. I'm not sure if I can add to that. The presentation is awesome. The game looks absolutely drop dead beautiful. Even though there were only 2 levels in the demo and press gameplay, I was absolutely amazed from how natural and soft Insanity Beach was to how beautiful and vibrant Heavy Machinery looked, which are words we shouldn't be associating with tech levels. I mean, look at it! It belongs in an art gallery. I also have to say that the character models also look really good, though I will admit to something. I personally think the Skylanders Imaginators for Crash, Cortex, and Aku Aku look better. I don't think these new ones are bad by any stretch of the imagination, but they may take some getting used to for me after playing through the Thump and Wumpa Islands several times. The remastered music is also really well done. Nothing else to add to that really. The music in my opinion is something that speaks for itself. You can't describe it even if you tried. Or maybe it's if I tried in this case. Okay, the main focus I should be really talking about here is the core gameplay of Crash Bandicoot. Now, for those of you who haven't played the original game, I'll put it simple. It has aged really badly. The controls are slippery, the spin is too much momentum, the checkpoint and save system in the game is rubbish, as is the gem collection and completion. It's all very badly implemented. If you ask me, you could put the original Crash Bandicoot alongside some of the worst video games of all time, and I wouldn't blame anyone for not noticing. It is aged that badly in my opinion. But here, we're definitely seeing improvements towards amending all of that, which is virtually what I wanted to happen should they remake, in the broadest term possible, the original game. And this pretty much sums up why I like Vicarious Visions as a studio. They know what works and what doesn't, and they also do what the fans want and they deliver on that. And they did that. They have stayed as true to the classics as possible with this remaster and taken as much inspiration as they can from the original game and Charles Zemblis' original concept arts. And whoever the guys that didn't get the credit in the old Naughty Dog days were, I can't remember the name, I just remember Charles Zemblis. Simultaneously, however, and much to the contrary, Vicarious Visions are an unpredictable studio and they can do things that feel unnecessary, and several of these things turn out to be really freaking impressive. And they did it here! I can prove this by simply talking about how they have altered the function of the crates. Firstly, the clear and obvious addition of the crate counter, both in the heads-up display and at the end of the level, was something we never would have considered for a remaster. Because we, as a fanbase, the Crash Bandicoot fanbase that is, have become accustomed to that. Did we need it? Probably not, but we'll take it. But then they added to that with the detailing they added to the level completion screen. namely when you beat a level without breaking open all the crates. The more crates you miss, the more punishment Crash will suffer as the crates begin piling down on his head, to the point that they flattened him like a pancake. There are also a couple of rumors I've been hearing floating around that I would like to quickly touch on, all of which I hear covers the entire trilogy. The first one of these I hear is the inclusion of an autosave feature. If that is true, then our Lord and Savior has descended upon us! That is something we really needed in the original game! The original save system is so terrible that it sometimes made the game unbearable! How it worked was that you could only save your level progress after obtaining a gem or defeating a tournament bonus stage, which you could only have one attempt at. You die in that stage? Tough luck! Now, while it's currently unclear how this will all work in the remaster, I assume we'll be able to re-enter these bonus stages as many times as we like, because now all bonus stages are necessary to obtain the levels gem. Well, that's how it so appears, and if that is true, then finally, embryo stages have a purpose now! Speaking of my own quick assumptions, just quickly, one thing I would like to ask is if they're going to include the cut level Stormy Ascent. I'm pretty sure there will be a lot of people who would like to try out the supposed level from hell, but if Vicarious Visions can somehow make Sunset Vista less unbearable, I hope, then they should be able to make Stormy Ascent much more fun as well. Now, back to the rumors. I heard something on the grapevine that all 3 games will now feature the time trial feature introduced in Crash Bandicoot 3 Warped. And upon seeing the gameplay for myself, that looks to be true for the first game at least. Now, I don't know about you, but I really love the time trials in Crash 3. They're a part of why I love the game so much, and they play an important part in how I choose to play the game too. So I'd be happy to see time trials and relics introduced in the previous games. But I'm more interested to see how they're going to be implemented and what they will be used for, rather. So let's say they include time trials in the final product for the first 2 games. Does that mean that the Crash Dash ability will be available at some point in those games? As in, is it something we have to unlock, or will it be available at all times from the very start of the game? It's all currently unclear. We'll have to wait and see how that all gets cleared up. But this final rumor I want to talk about is one that I really have to get off my chest. The supposed release date. I've been hearing whispers that the game is set to release on February 28, 2017, according to something called Daily Star. Now, that doesn't seem reliable to me for 3 key reasons. 1, it's not an official announcement from the source. If it came from Activision or Vicarious Visions, then I believe it and start worrying. And I start worrying because 2, that is far too early to release a remaster of 3 classic games onto one system. Particularly with the level of detail being included in just the first game. How much are they going to do for the other 2 then? And speaking of which, 3, we haven't even seen footage of Crash 2 and 3, so we don't even know how far those games are in their development period. If this remaster was just for Crash 1, then I'd have hope and complete faith in that it will be released on schedule and in a complete state. But releasing 3 games takes up a lot more time than you think, even if they are just upped-up presentation versions of 3 classic PlayStation 1 games, which collectively don't even have about a third of the coding used in a modern game engine. But my point is this. February 28 is just not the right time to release a Crash Bandicoot game. I'd rather stay patient and wait another 6 months or so and see the games released somewhere around August 31st through to September 9 to coincide with the original release date of Crash Bandicoot. Now that seems more appropriate, and it gives Vicarious Visions another half a year or so to work on the game. And this does fit with the pattern of released games from Vicarious Visions lately. Skylanders Supercharged was released roughly around that time in 2015, so it would mean that they would have well over 20 months to work on the trilogy solidly. Besides, last thing we need for Crash Bandicoot is a game to be rushed out. That will kill the franchise stone dead in its tracks. Look at another game that got rushed out because of a demand. Sonic the Hedgehog 2006. Complete disaster. Almost destroyed all credibility to the blue blur. And rather annoyingly for me, he bounced back from it. We don't want that to happen to the Orange Marsupial. So have some patience, and I bet you, unless we get official confirmation from Activision on that release date, we will see the Bandicoot once again at 2017's Electronic Entertainment Exposition, or E3 rather. Or maybe possibly PAX East, which I doubt. But overall conclusion, I'm really happy with the way this remaster is coming together. It's exceeded my expectations and makes me excited to see what is coming in the future for the Sane Trilogy. And you know what? Even if the Crash 2 and 3 remasters turn out to be bad, at the very least, the Crash Bandicoot 1 remaster is going to be well worth the wait for his return. It was something we desperately needed, and it looks like we are getting it. I'm the Primordial Clok-Roo. Actually, now that I think about it, I've really overdone Crash Bandicoot and Skylands on this channel. I need to do something a little bit different. What's your thoughts on that one? I'll come back to that.